Hey folks, so today we're going to be doing some tapping, and as you can see I got drop lines ready to go, and this year I'm going to attempt to try running stuff into barrels instead of using buckets at each one of the trees. That way it's all collecting in one thing. You don't have to empty multiple buckets. You can just come either empty the barrel out or swap barrels or something like that. It's a little bit easier, and I'm hoping to do a fair bit more taps than I did last year as well. I'm thinking maybe somewhere around 100. Last year I did 8, although only 6 of them really did anything. The one tree was not real great. I think it wasn't real healthy that I tapped, so I didn't get much out of that one. So just a few more than last year. And the trees in back of me, these are some of the ones that I tapped last year. This is one of the spots where I'm going to try running into a barrel. Now the problem is these are remarkably level, and if you're going to connect them together with a lateral line, you got to have some natural slope on there. So what I'm going to try doing is on, which one? Well, not even sure you can see it. The one that's furthest that way, I'm going to try tapping high on that, and then as I get this way, I'm going to be tapping low, so that way the lateral line that connects all of these drop lines together will have some slope going across here, and then the barrel will be sitting somewhere down in this area, so that way it's 5 feet lower than where the taps are as well. So what we should end up with is about 10 or 12 taps coming this way, sloping down to here, and then another 10 or 12 taps sloping from that way down to here as well. That's the idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, because I can only reach up so high to put the taps in, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get the slope that I need for it to kind of run the sap through and drain into the bucket, but we're going to give it a try, because if it works, this will be a whole lot easier than having a bucket at each one of these trees. We're off to a good start. So something is not right here. The drill bit I've got here does not match the size of our spout. You may think, well, just get a different drill bit. So I actually got a special drill bit for doing taps, and the reason that works better for this is I think it's the flutes are a lot more aggressive or something. They aren't twisted as much, so that way it's able to bring the chips back out of the tap a whole lot better. So you can do one clean like that, and that makes for a better hole, which means that this seats in there better and you're less likely to have air leaks around your tap. But this is too small for this, so I'm not sure if I got sent the wrong bit or whether I ordered the wrong size bit. I thought I got the right thing, but that is definitely not going to work. Alrighty, so we're back. I just went and I looked at the orders that I'd put in, and I know exactly what happened. So last year, this is actually one of the spouts that I used last year. I cut it off from the drop line. This right here is a spout compatible with 3/16 tubing, and it requires a 1/4 inch drill bit. This is the spout that I'm using this year. It's a little bit different. It's a check valve spout. I think you can kind of see that little black ball in there, maybe. I'm not going to talk about that right now, maybe explain it later, but it's a different type of spout. It's also compatible with 3/16 tubing, but it takes a bigger bit. It needs like a 5/16 drill bit on it instead of a 1/4. So when I was ordering stuff, I kind of made the assumption that since it was a tap for the same size tubing, it would take the same size drill for the hole for the tap. It doesn't. So we got just a plain old drill bit in here that's a 5/16. I think this is going to be the right size for these check valves, and we're gonna do it. All right, so we got in our drop lines through here. I bundled them up into quantities of 25, and I used the whole thing going down through here. I didn't get the two that were all the way at the end, but I wasn't planning on doing those anyways because there's a pretty good gap in between this group and the end two, because there's been a couple trees that have died out, and for an extra 5 taps or something down there, it just wasn't worth it to me to try going that much further. So what we're going to do now is I've got a coil of line here, and we're going to hook it to this tree and then run it all the way down to, well, kind of the midpoint where the barrel's going to be. And then we can start going through and putting T's in to connect our drop lines to the lateral line. I've got this, as much as I would love for this to have some hot coffee in it right now, it's only hot water. I'm going to try using this to soften the ends a little bit to get them to go into the T's a little bit better. Hopefully this will work. They make a special tool for that, but it's really expensive, and I didn't feel like getting that for this year. Maybe next year, but this year we're going to try doing this. And in addition to that, the camera's saying that the battery's getting low, so I don't really know how much of this you guys are going to see, because I'm not going back over to get another battery, because it's getting a little bit late in the day, and had a couple little things that have made it take just a little bit longer than I was expecting it to today. So we're just going to roll with it. And also, I'm totally not doing this the way you're supposed to be doing it. As far as connections and all that sort of stuff, I'm kind of winging it. I didn't want to have to buy, you know, 8 or so different types of connections to do all the different things. So hopefully it'll work. We'll find out here in another couple days probably. Alright, well, last night I almost got wrapped up with these 25 taps over here. I got as far as that tree right there. This one right here is the last one on the run coming this way. That was all the tubing I had for the lateral. So I got another 500-foot roll here. The roll that I was using was the remainder of the roll that I'd been using to make all of the drop lines. The ones that have the spouts connected to it. So that one only had probably less than 200 feet on that roll. So starting with a new roll, and we'll get this last little section coming over to here. This is the last tree. Get those 2 taps on, and then we'll bring it down this way, and it'll come down here to where this other end coming from that side is. Bring a little stretch down through here, and then these ones will almost pretty much be done. And this is totally what you're supposed to use for cutting tubing. Works great though. Alrighty, on to the next ones. Alright, so now we're over in the turkey field. This is where the chickens were earlier, well, I guess late last year. And we're going to be doing some maples and some walnuts over in here. And the maples we're going to be doing are up on the hillside. And if you look along there, you can kind of see where the old fence line was going down through there. And pretty much all of the trees along that fence line are maples. So that makes for a really easy spot to tap a bunch of them. They're all in a nice row. That slopes from over there down to here, so we got our natural slope, so that it kind of siphons down the hill. It's, you know, it's creating some natural vacuum as it's pulling the sap, as gravity's pulling the sap down to here. And then I think right over here in this corner on this side of the fence, I'll put a barrel down here to collect the sap in. That way I'm not having to do individual buckets. and this will be something fairly easy to get in here with the skid steer to either empty the barrel or swap them out or something. I'm not quite sure how I'm doing that yet, but however I do it, first of all we got to get the taps in, and so I'm going to put in another 25 of them coming up through here. All right, that's 25 taps in. So now we got to get them all connected together. And it'll, kind of like we did over behind the farmhouse, it'll have to be, I think, 2 runs, because my understanding is that if you get more than maybe like 10 or 15 on one lateral, you start overloading it. I think maybe that's too many, or maybe, I don't know, maybe we could do more, but that's how we're doing it for this year, and we'll find out whether it works or not. So at this point, we are switching over to walnuts, and I'm hoping to tap about another 50 of walnuts. So altogether should be 100 taps, and literally a 50-50 split between maple and walnut. And for the walnuts, at least over here in the turkey field, there's a bunch of them coming along the property line, and then down there by the creek, there's a whole bunch more down in that area as well. And these are all going to be on buckets because it's pretty flat going across through here, so it'd be really tough to get it on tubing and have it gravity feed. If you had, a vacuum pump or something hooked up, then that would work just fine, but no electricity over here to run that off of, and I don't want to try setting up a battery system for this year. I've spent enough money on other stuff, so we're just going to do some buckets on these. I'm going to start off going for the bigger ones that I can do like 2 taps on. We'll get those done first, see how many that comes to, and then I may start going back and doing some of the single tap trees as well. Let's see. If we're doing buckets, I gotta make sure I'm tapping down lower. This is another really solid double tap tree right here. Might even be able to do 3 on that, maybe. We're just gonna do 2. Yeah. What do you know? A little bit of sap going in there already. Yeah, I need to hurry up and get a bucket on that one. So next up, we're heading over to the ones here beside the creek. We got our exclusion fence. Probably pointing the camera the wrong way, aren't I? Our exclusion fence for the stream along through here. But we did leave a gate opening here. Obviously don't have a gate in it, but got a stock panel to close that up. So we're going to start heading over this way and see what we can get down here. Looks like a 2-tapper to me. Yep. Hopefully, we should get some sap flowing today, but obviously before that happens, we got to get our buckets here in place. And I got all my lids drilled last night, so got holes in them so they're ready to go. So all we got to do is get our hoses through, which it's going to be a tight fit. I probably could have gone a size bigger on the drill bit, but I wanted a nice tight seal between there. Alright. Just like that. Good to go. Alright, so we're back over here. Is that recording? Yeah, okay. So we're back over here behind the farmhouse where we've got our 2 runs coming here into the middle. And so in order for this to work right, these lines, the lateral lines, need to have a little bit of tension on them so that they stay kind of running at the slope that we want them to, and you don't get these, you know, sags in between where the taps are. And so what I'm going to try doing is I've taken a couple little scrap pieces of wood, I screwed them together, and then I drilled a hole through it that is going like right along the edge of the 2 pieces of wood. So what I think was going to happen, we'll find out here in a second, is that if I unscrew these, I can take the lines, I can pull them kind of together, pull them tight, and these are drilled on an angle. Clamp this on top of here, screw these back down, and hopefully that will hold the lines together. It'll put some tension on them, and it'll do what we need them to do. But no idea, I haven't tried this yet, so we'll find out here in just a second. Might need to do it loose. Then snug it up just a little bit so it'll hold them, and then I can pull them tight at that point. Need to go back through and kind of get the lines more where I want them to be, but I think that actually might do the trick. We'll find out once it thaws out a little bit more and the sap actually starts flowing, so we can see if it's holding it at the right level through there to get it to drain down to where our barrel's going to be. Alright, and for the one over here in the turkey field, I'm going to do pretty much the exact same thing, except these are going to have a straight hole going through it instead of angled, since they're coming pretty much straight down the hill. And what I'm going to try doing is screwing this to, not sure, either the post or the cross brace, one or the other, so that'll hold this in place, and then the lines can get pulled into here in tension. Alright, now we can go walk the lines, kind of bring the slack down around this way, pull it through there, and then tighten those screws down. Hey girl. Hi. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? You coming to supervise? Huh? Huh? Oh, we got both of you girls over here. I didn't even see you over there, Roxy. All right, well, we're here behind the mill house. There's a decent stand of walnuts back here. So I got a few parts in that I was needing in order to get these done. So we're gonna go ahead and get some tubing run back here and hopefully maybe start getting a little bit of sap collected. The other black walnuts that I got tapped over in the turkey field, those are starting to run, so I'm definitely missing out on a little bit of sap collection here, but hopefully we'll be able to get at least some from this this run that's going right now. Now, as I may have mentioned before, these are going to be on a kind of a hobby scale vacuum system. So there's not a lot of elevation change back here. It's really flat. So I just want to experiment with this. There's not enough that I can do a gravity system, just using that to drain all of the trees into one barrel. So we're going to set it up with a little pump to draw some vacuum on it and try bringing it into one central location and just see how that works and give it a try for this year. Alright, so I got everything pretty well laid out through here. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I am doing everything the way that they say you're not supposed to with this. Even if you're running on a pump, vacuum pump, whatever, you're still generally supposed to try and get it to go with gravity, you know, so that you're getting a little bit of that flowing just naturally, and the pump isn't having to pull it up and down and all that sort of stuff. I'm not doing that. I've got, well, several spots through here where it kind of goes down a little bit and then goes back up and goes down, and we're going to see how that works. In addition to that, in general, you want your lateral lines to be as straight as possible. The more bends you have in there, the more that sap's going to be kind of slowing down, going around bends, and it creates more resistance, more friction, whatever. So you really aren't supposed to be zigging and zagging all over the place. And I don't know how well you can see this back here, but there is nothing back here that's straight. It is anything but straight. So in other words, what I'm saying is this may completely fail. It may not work at all. I'm hoping it does, but I also am well aware that the way I'm doing it is not the way you're supposed to be. So with that said, what I've got here is I've got a shorter run over here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Should have 10 that'll be on here. This didn't go quite as far as it's going to. That was a partial roll of tubing that I was working with. It's going to come over, it's going to connect into a couple over here, and then end up about where I'm standing. So there's, I think, 3 more that need to go onto that run. And then over here, this is the really nasty one. And it's going to have 15. I've actually got one too many on it. There's one smaller one back up there where the line really zigs and zags to get over to it. So I'm actually going to straighten out that section, not tap that one, and that'll take this line over here down to just 15 trees. And that way it'll take it to a nice 25, which is the number of check valve spouts that I've got left, drop lines put together. And then that will, I think, finish up how many trees I'm going to tap for this year. All right, so all of the drop lines and taps are in, and as you may be able to hear, I've got it hooked up to the pump and it's running. This has taken a little bit of figuring out to try and get this running about as well as I can, given the equipment that I'm using and the, again, like I said, totally not the way that you're supposed to be doing it setup that I've got going on here. So what I've got over here for the pump, it's just a small diaphragm pump here, and then I've got a T coming out of here, and then a barbed fitting for the 3/16 tubing on each side here. And obviously just the two tubes coming in here, one for each of the two runs that we've got going around in back of the mill house. So the first thing that I kind of found out was that that pump was really not able to suck the sap through the line as is. So what I ended up doing, and we'll go for a little walk here, is I actually had to introduce a small vacuum leak in the end of both of these runs. Now, in a traditional vacuum system, that is just like something you do not want to happen. Because with that, you're really trying to build up that vacuum to suck the sap out of the tree. And so having a vacuum leak really does not do you any good at all. And all I did, and I don't even know if you can see it, but I just poked a little tiny hole right here, and this is connected around to the lateral that goes all the way around through here. And so that lets just a little bit of air get sucked in through here at the end of the line, and then that kind of will pull the sap around through here. Without having that little vacuum leak there, it was not able to pull the sap through. Now, one potential issue with this is that since I'm pulling in outside air, that air can have, you know, bacteria or yeast or fungus spores or stuff like that in it as well. So it's essentially, it's contaminating my lateral line. So this may have repercussions down the road with doing it this way. I may have issues with the sap kind of going off a little bit sooner because I'm pulling that dirty air in through the end of the line, and of course that's getting sucked all the way through the laterals. I don't know, but again, it's one of those things, you're not supposed to do that, but that's what this whole setup back here is a bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to do. However, like I said, without having that vacuum leak in there, I wasn't getting anything moving. Now, between the two lines, this one, the one we were just looking at, hey Tigger, this one definitely runs better. This one only has 10 taps, this one has 15, like I said before. I think the one with 15, combined with having, you know, 50% more taps, and it has a lot more twists and turns in it than the other one is. It's just, this one does not pull as well. I think it's kind of a little bit overloaded, just like I said, between all the turns and the number of taps. I think probably 10 may be a little bit better number given the way that I've got this stuff set up over here. So planning for next year, what I might try doing is, I actually didn't tap all the walnuts. There's a few more going around over closer to the creek, going around that way. What I might try doing is doing like 3 runs, but have 10 on each and see how that works. See if it's able to pull 30 as long as it's split over 3 runs and have it fewer. I don't know. That may work even worse, but I think having the 15 zigging and zagging is just, it's too much for that one line. So that is going to do it for getting taps out for 2024. Like I said, you got 100 even, 50 maple and 50 walnut. So this is going to be a lot more sap coming in and a lot more syrup getting finished off than last year's 8 taps that I had, and I think about 1.5 gallons of finished syrup. A little bit scaled up from there. But yeah, so next week we'll be getting into some sap collection and boiling and getting it finished off, bottling, all that kind of good stuff, and what I'll be doing for that. I think we'll also touch on the RO that I'm going to be using for concentrating the sap down a little bit before I start boiling. Yeah, but that'll be for next week. That's it for today's video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.